So, once again, it's time for movie reviews here on Pure 24/7 Radio, and I'm very pleased to be joined once again by Andy Godfrey. How are you, Andy?
I'm very well, Nathan. I had an interesting week. I was saying to you off air, I was preaching in a church in Reading on Sunday, and I gave Pure a big plug. And I know three people, I think, downloaded the app there and then after the service. So if anybody's listening in Reading this morning, because I did mention that I'm on the Friday mornings at 8 o'clock, although I mentioned, of course, we're on the air 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But I did mention that I would be on at 8 o'clock. So if anybody from Reading is listening, welcome to Pure. Hope you're enjoying the app. Hope you're enjoying the music. And I also just wanted to say hello to some friends in Milton Keynes, particularly to Sarah and a couple of ladies. I was at a coffee morning last week, and they downloaded the app as well. So, the word is spreading about Pure, Nathan, and this is what we want, isn't it? We want more and more people listening and joining in and enjoying the music and the shows and supporting the station.
Yeah, yeah, brilliant. And it looks as though it's spreading many thanks to you.
Well, no, I'm doing what I can. I mean, I'm preaching at a church near Milton Keynes on this coming Sunday, and I am going to give the plug there to the station. But also on Saturday, and if anybody's in the Milton Keynes area, I'm at a place called Spurgeon's Church, which is in Water Eaton, which is a little place just on the edge of Milton Keynes. And we're doing an evangelism training day. So we're looking at different aspects of evangelism. We're starting at 10 o'clock in the morning, and we're going through to 1 o'clock, obviously with some breaks, although I could probably talk all that time. We're going to talk about evangelism. We're going to talk about how you can use your home for evangelism, how you can use your hobby for evangelism. I'm going to share how I use my movies, my love of movies in evangelism, because I think I run a Facebook page, or I help run a Facebook page that's got 6,000 people on it. And these 6,000 people, we do nothing but talk about movies all day, every day. And every now and again, films like we had recently, The King of Kings and the Chosen, The Last Supper will come along. And I get opportunities to share the gospel. So one of the things we're looking at on Saturday at Spurgeon's Baptist Church in Water Eaton near Milton Keynes is we're going to be talking about how you use your hobbies for the gospel. And I get some amazing opportunities. Even, so for example, a horror film might come along, and I can use that, and I'm pointing this out in my book. I can use that to talk about the fact that God is stronger than the devil. All the guys in the Facebook page have gone to see this horror film, and they're all talking about it. Either it was rubbish, or it was terrible, or it was quite good. And I can come in and I can legitimately say, well, for me, the message of this film was that God is stronger than the devil, and that Christ defeats the enemy. And so we're looking at ways that you can use your hobby. So I'm going to be talking on Saturday about using your hobbies for the gospel. But also, we have a little presentation towards the end of the morning, so getting on towards 1 o'clock, where I do a thing about the best evangelistic resources out there. So I talk about gospel literature and magazines and tracts, and I have included a slide on Pure as the best Christian radio station out there. Now I'm on UCB One later today, and I was on Transworld Radio this week. But Pure is the best music station, without a shadow.
Wow, thanks so much.
So we'll be plugging it. Yeah, hopefully, Nathan. We'd love to see the station grow. We'd love to see more people getting the magazine. We'd love to see more financial support for you guys and what you do, because it's needed to keep the station running. I know that. So yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, busy week it seems, and more coming up over the weekend. So that's just fantastic. I love what you say about how you can use your hobbies, to share the gospel. It's amazing, actually. I've heard so many people talk about this very specific hobby. It might be quite a niche thing. Not many people are interested in that, and yet somehow they'll come across somebody who is interested in that, and it allows them to connect and relate in a way that they couldn't otherwise. So it just goes to show there's no hobby that's just too silly for God to use in some great way.
A friend of mine runs a model railway club in his garden. A model railways, I'm sorry, would bore me stiff, and does bore me stiff, right? But he's led 3 men to Christ.
Wow.
3 men have become Christians in his garden at the model railway club because they've come for the model railway. He's had an opportunity to tell them about Jesus, and 3 men have become Christians. So yeah, using your hobbies is a great way. And one of the things I wanted to say in my book, which is still available on Amazon, one of the things I want to say in my book was, we can use the message. Sometimes a movie has got a great message, and it might be a rom-com, but it talks about the importance of love.
Mm.
At the moment, Thunderbolts is #1 in the charts, which we talked about last week, which is this new Marvel superhero film. And a friend of mine went to see it today, and he messaged me and said, "It's really dark. It's a really dark film. It's about how you cope with being lonely. It's about how you cope with problems in your past that you haven't resolved. It's about dealing with issues that maybe you haven't confronted." And it really is. And for a superhero comic book film, that's #1 in the charts at the moment. This is a film that you could absolutely use to say to people, how do you deal with anything in your past that you're not happy with? How do you cope with guilt? How do you cope with that? Well, actually, when Christ comes in, he forgives you past, present, and future. He forgives your sins and takes away the sense of guilt. Mm. And I think we're both, my friend is a preacher and he went to see this and I recommended it to him. And we both said, yeah, we can use this in preaching. We can use this as sermon illustrations. So I think that finding things that people are going to relate to in the world, people aren't coming necessarily to church. We got to go to them. Jesus never told us to build churches. He told us to go into all the world. And if we're going to go to people, we got to go, but we got to be relevant. We got to be communicating with them, So that's one reason why I it's not the only reason. I mean, the reason I love movies is because I love movies. I just like sitting back in the dark room or in front of my TV and being entertained and being taken to another place for a couple of hours. But movies can be parable, modern day parables. And again, hopefully my second book, we're going to have even more of those. Which I'm working on.
Wow, brilliant. Yeah, I look forward to that new book. And again,
you're going to proofread
it. Yes, indeed. I look forward to it. Well, okay. For movie reviews, I understand there are a couple of new ones on streaming. You had a bit of news for us as well.
Well, yeah. So this week I got asked to comment on another radio station about Donald Trump's putting tariffs on movies. Donald Trump is trying to boost Hollywood. I don't think Hollywood needs too much boosting. I don't think Hollywood's doing too badly when you look at Disney in particular, and you look at a few other franchises. The thing is that most of the great movies of the past and the present are being made here in Britain. We've got Pinewood Studios, we've got we've got great big wonderful movie studios. The movie technicians in this country are the best in the world. And you look at any great franchise, Star Wars was made here, Indiana Jones was made here, Pinewood hosted James Bond. So Britain has got this proud tradition of producing fantastic films that sell all over the world. And Spielberg and Lucas and all the top directors, they want to come and make their films in Britain. And the reason they want to make their films in Britain is, A, it is slightly cheaper than in the States, but also because we have got world-class technicians who make movies. Now, originally, when Hollywood started coming to Britain, it was a fairly well-known thing that the Americans got frustrated with the British workers because the British workers would clock off for lunch at 1 o'clock. Whether the scene had finished or not, they would clock off for tea at 4 o'clock. They would work to rule, kind of thing. And the Americans don't do that. The Americans just work through till the scene is finished. And it took the Americans, when they first started coming here to use our facilities, a little while to get used to the way we Brits do things. But you look at the history of cinema, you look at the top grossing films of all time, and with a very few exceptions, most of them were made here. So Donald Trump has now said, okay, any film that's made in England that they want to sell to America, he's going to put 100% tariff on it. Now, hopefully that's going to change because we've got a new trade deal announced yesterday with America. Hopefully that's going to change and we can talk him down. But I'm a bit worried because if that happens, if he starts putting tariffs on our movies made here, we are going to see a decline. We're going to see problems with the British film industry. And yes, might be good for Hollywood. Hooray for Hollywood. But it might not be great for us. So it was a bit of news this week that cropped up. And I just thought it was worth mentioning. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, a lot of our cinemas chains are closing down. Odeon's closed a lot of cinemas. Cineworld's closed a lot of cinemas. we don't want to see any more hits on the British film industry, but it might happen. So let's keep hoping that this doesn't happen. Let's hope that we continue to produce really good films here. But yeah, there are some good films out for stream. I've had a very unusual week, Nathan. I'm getting cold turkey because I haven't been to the cinema this week.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah, I know. I've still got the shakes. That's just ridiculous for me. So that's really because there hasn't been any new films out. We got 2 new films coming out today, Friday, the 9th of May. We've got 2 new films coming out today. Let me just highlight them. So we got a new Nick Cage film coming out called The Surfer. Now, Nicolas Cage, is one of those actors I think you either love or you hate. He can be so totally over the top, his performances can be so exaggerated. He stars in some really wacky, weird, way out films. There was a film a couple of years ago called One Night at Freddy's, but basically he got a job as a janitor in one of these American arcades, with lots of clockwork figures and figures he put a slot in, and these figures started to come to life and became murderous, and he ended up killing them all, basically. And in the whole film, he didn't utter a single word. It was almost like watching a silent movie, but it was quite entertaining in its way. We see Nick Cage playing a whole variety of roles that are always exaggerated. He's always either the super villain or he's the superhero, So he's now playing in a film called The Surfer. So if people see this advertised at cinemas, basically he was a surfing champion in Australia. He went away from Australia. He comes back to Australia, and he's not as good as the younger generation of surfers who start taking the mickey out of him. And he sets out to prove he is still a good surfer. Now, I haven't seen it. Some friends of mine have. They said they were quite entertained by it. I haven't had the chance to see it. So that's out today. The only other new film out today as well, and this is interesting, I guess from a Christian point of view, although these films tend to be very gory. We've got a new Final Destination film. So back in the mid-2000s, a film came out called Final Destination. A group of students get on a plane. They're going to Paris from America. They sit down on the plane, and one of the students starts to feel a bit uneasy. He starts to feel a bit, something's wrong, but I don't know what it is. And as he's sitting on the plane, various things happen. Somebody comes up and offers him some chewing gum. One of the girls asks if she can change seats, things like this, okay? And eventually, he's so uneasy, and the plane explodes on takeoff. That's the pre-credit sequence. We then find ourselves back on board the plane, and this young man is sat there, and he begins to realize he's had a vision of the future. Somebody comes up and offers him a chewing gum. Some girls come up and offer to change seats. The same events are repeating themselves. And he stands there and says, "We've got to get off this plane. It's going to blow up." And everybody looks at him as he's nuts. And he runs off the plane, and some of the other students follow him, and one of the teachers follows him. And of course, the plane blows up. What then happens is that the other students start to die in the order they would have died if they'd stayed on the plane. Okay? Horrible things happen. They're pretty grisly but so the girl who would have been in seat 26, and seat 26 would have been the first seat to blow up, she dies. And then the girl who was in seat 25 dies. And they start to realize, and somebody says to them, "You cheated death. Death is coming for you." And this spawned a whole series of sequels. There were 6 films altogether. The next film, we see a young lady in a car. She's just going onto a dual carriageway. She has a vision of multiple accidents happening. Credits, she's back in the car. The accidents happen. There was another one set at a racetrack where cars crash. There was another one set actually in the cinema, where they have a premonition that the cinema's going to blow up. So there were 6 of these films altogether. And they announced when the 6th one came out that it was the final one. This was about 6 years ago now. Final one, no problem at all. We've now got another one coming out. And it's called Final Destinations Bloodlines. So these are the 2 new films that are in the cinema as of today. I mean, I will go and see them, but I quite the Final Destination films can get a little bit gory, if I'm honest, but I quite enjoy them because they're fun. Because they're and the very last one they did had a very clever ending that sort of tied all the films together. I don't want to give away spoilers, but honestly, that was really good. Still in cinemas, though, is Thunderbolts, and we talked about this last week. I just mentioned it that it's number one in the charts. So this is the new Marvel film. This is the new superhero. The Avengers have died. There's a big threat facing the Earth, and the Thunderbolts are a new series of superheroes with not great powers, but they've got some powers that have to save the Earth. Goes to a very dark place, as I said a moment ago. It goes to very it forces the characters to think about their past and mistakes they've made and how would they put them right. And very entertaining, really good. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of comic book hero films, but I really enjoyed this one. It's really good, and it's still doing well at cinema. So those are the ones at cinemas.
Okay.
Then we got some streaming ones.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so if you're happy. So as of today, streaming. Well, actually, no, it's been on Sky for a week. Let's deal with this one first. So, talking time travel and Final Destination, we've got a film called Omni-Loop. Now, this is a 12A certificate. It's on Sky. It's on streaming services. We meet a young girl, 8, 9 years old. She's standing in a field right at the beginning of the film, standing in a beautiful field, meadow. And she kneels down and she finds a bottle of tablets. And on these tablets are her name. And she doesn't have a clue. They're just lying there in the field. They're on, what are they doing? When she takes one, she discovers that it sends her a week back in time. So Omni-Loop is a time travel movie. Okay? She goes back a week in time. We skip through the credits. We meet her as a grown-up. And as a grown-up, she has, in hospital, she's got a fatal disease. She's going to die. And she's going to die in a week's time. So what does she do? She gets the tablets out. And it becomes very much like Groundhog Day. On the day that she knows she's going to die, she takes the tablets, which then gives her a week to live again. On the day she's going to die, she takes the tablets, which then give her. So she keeps doing this. During the course of her final week after taking one of these tablets, she meets a young lady completely by accident. They bump into each other, who's studying physics, and she confides in her that she's got these tablets. So they start studying these tablets. They start seeing, well, can we go back in time even further? What can we do? How do these tablets work? What is it that's in them that's sending me back in time? It's a really entertaining film. It's slow, it's methodical, it's leisurely paced, but it's good. It's a really good story. The problem is that every time she goes back in time, the week, she has to meet this young girl again who's helping her, this scientist, and introduce herself. And say, so it's very much Groundhog Day in that regard. The film's got a really good ending. We discover how it is that she ends up finding these tablets in the first place. I really enjoyed it. Some of my fellow reviewers, I noticed that it's a bit slow and it's a bit pedestrian, but I thought it was so much better for that. It's not whiz bang, special effects all over the place. It's a very simple story of a time travel science fiction story of a girl who can go back in time and relive the last week of her life again and again, and is trying to find a solution, basically. So trying to find a solution to a problem, to a disease, but also trying to find out why these tablets work as they do. It's called Omni-Loop. It's on streaming. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lovely, gentle stroll of a film, really. But it had quite powerful. Quite powerful. So Omni-Loop is streaming. Also streaming as from today on streaming services, you'll find a film called Self-Driver. Another film I enjoyed. This is I was sent a preview copy of this. It's coming out streaming as from today. We meet an Uber driver who's down on his luck. He needs more money. He's not getting enough, not making enough money. And one day somebody gets in the back of his cab and says, if you download this app and follow what it tells you to do, you'll become a millionaire. So he downloads the app, and what the app tells him to do is to drive to certain places, pick up certain people, and drive them to places. And he gets paid for being on time. He gets paid for arriving at the destination on time. He gets, so, and he starts to make a lot of money. Then the app turns dark because it starts asking him to carry drug dealers. It starts asking him to carry bad guys. It starts asking him to be like the getaway driver in a bank robbery, that kind of thing. So it starts to get dark. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good film. It's called Self-Driver. That's on streaming services. And then I just wanted to mention a couple of other films to watch at home, which are widely available. Are we okay? We go for time?
Yeah, sure.
So a couple of other films to mention widely at home. And one of them, Nathan, I mentioned last week, I'm going to go overboard. All right. So be prepared. I'm saving it for last. I'm saving the best for last.
All right.
So yesterday was VE Day, Victory in Europe Day. On the BBC iPlayer at the moment, you can see Darkest Hour, which is a film about World War II with Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill. An incredible performance by Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill. Really worth seeing. Great bit of history, showing how Churchill had to fight his own cabinet, some of whom were willing to capitulate to Hitler and were saying, let's save lives, let's save our country, let's capitulate to Hitler. No, said Churchill, we don't do that. There is an amazing scene. Now, I know central London really well. There's an amazing scene where Churchill gets on the tube and he's talking to people, ordinary people, and they recognise it. Oh, the Prime Minister's on the tube. He's never been on the tube before. And he has to ask them, how do I get my ticket and all the rest of it? Because he's not used to being on the tube. He's used to being chauffeur driven. But he gets on the tube to talk to ordinary people. And these ordinary people that he meets on the tube say, Mr. Churchill, we've got to fight Hitler. We don't care what we don't care what it costs us. We have to conquer. We have to defeat Hitler. The thing is, the tube runs from Downing Street to Westminster. There is no tube. There is no tube line that runs from Downing Street. It's the only bit of nonsense in the film. And I'm sort of thinking, no, there's no tube line. Anyway, put that to one side. Gary Oldman is great as Winston Churchill. It really is a remarkable, and people will, I think, want to watch this kind of film this week. I've got a Union Jack flying from my house at the moment. My uncle was on the D-Day landings and died in France the day after D-Day, survived the beaches and died the day after. My granddad obviously fought in the war. So I'm saying my own thank you to people. So Darkest Hour is good. Channel 4, Film 4, there's a film called Uncharted. This is an Indiana Jones family type adventure film. Literally, somebody finds a treasure map with X marks the spot and they're going after the treasure. It's fun. It's nonsense. It's very entertaining. It's fine. Uncharted on Channel 4. I wanted to mention one other film that's on Sky. It's called Cleaner. And the reason I wanted to mention this is that our dear friend Steve Legg would have loved this one. And I do like to talk about Steve whenever I can because his memory is so precious to us. Basically, we have a girl who is a cleaner. She's cleaning windows on a high-rise block of flats in London, high-rise office block. And she's in the cradle and she's up about 200 floors, cleaning windows. Turns out she used to be an SAS soldier, believe it or not. And on this very day when she's cleaning windows and on this very day when she's taken her brother to work with her brother who's got Down syndrome type thing, terrorists take over this block of flats, this high-rise office. And she has to rescue 300 people. Wouldn't you just know it? The very day she brings a disabled brother to work, and he's one of the hostages that gets held by the terrorists. Wow, the coincidence is amazing. That said, the action's really good. It's directed by Martin Campbell, who directed Casino Royale, which was the first Daniel Craig James Bond movie. It's on Sky. I thought it was really good. Now, here we go. This is the point where a lot of my family, if they are listening, turn off. So they will know what's coming.
You're giving them fair warning.
Eh?
Fair warning.
fair warning. It's also a point where a lot of people will turn on. Because if you have read my book, one of the things we did in my book was that we listed my 100 favourite films of all time. That was Steve Legg's suggestion. Steve just rang me up one day and said, Andy, I think you should just do a list of your 100 favourite films in the back of the book. Okay. And people can tick off whether they've seen them or not. At number five is a film that I absolutely adore. I love it to bits. I love it so much that when I was in Tesco's, local Tesco's, when it came out on DVD, they had a cardboard stand of the main characters. And I said to the manager, can I have that when you finish with it, please? And he said, yeah, and it's sitting on my stairs. Okay, now I will try in a moment to swing the camera around, okay? I love this film so much. I adore it. When I saw the trailer, when I first saw the trailer, I thought, I'm going to love this film. I went to see it, absolutely adored every second of it. Went to see it 6 times. It's a musical. Now that none of my family are going, oh, for Pete's sake, no. But it's on TV tonight. It's on BBC Two tonight. If you haven't seen it, or if you have, you're going to want to watch it again, unless you're members of my deluded family. Okay, because I'm talking about La La Land. So La La Land has got 3 things going for it that I like. First of all, it's a musical. It's a jazz musical, actually, and I like jazz music. Secondly, it's a Hollywood movie about Hollywood. We've had a number of these over the years. So Singing in the Rain, the 50s classic, was a Hollywood movie about Hollywood. That film was about the introduction of talkies. So Singing in the Rain, The Player is another great one, a Hollywood movie about Hollywood. It's about Hollywood executive, and it's just great. Sunset Boulevard from the 50s, one of the greatest movies ever made, about a fading actress from the silent era who is trying to come back and make it big again, and she's totally deluded that she's still got people who want to see her on the screen. Sunset Boulevard, one of the greatest movies ever made, a Hollywood movie about Hollywood. La La Land is a Hollywood movie about Hollywood. Emma Stone's character wants to become a famous actress. Ryan Gosling's character, with whom she falls in love, wants to own his own nightclub. So it's a jazz Hollywood movie about Hollywood. And the third thing it's got going for it, it does have fantasy elements in it. There are fantasy elements. So there's one great musical moment, I think it's beautiful, where they go to where they're dancing in the stars. Basically, they're dancing amongst the stars. It's a scene that's borrowed from Walt Disney's Sleeping Beauty, actually. Now, I have to say, I saw this 6 times at the cinema. I went to Birmingham because in Birmingham they did a screening with the Birmingham Symphony Orchestra playing the score. Great songs. In the beginning sequence, which is the only sequence that doesn't feature Emma Stone or Ryan Gosling, you'll see a sort of Muslim-looking actor, an Indian-looking actor. He actually is the guy who plays Andrew in The Chosen. So that's interesting. But honestly, La La Land. Now, you know, I'm going to try and swing my camera for the benefit of those who are watching on TV, but for the benefit of those who are on radio, I will keep talking. So I have a big cardboard cutout, as you can see, of La La Land. I have the soundtrack albums on vinyl, both the score, and I have I have it on Blu-ray, I have it on DVD, I've got it downloaded. You know, I absolutely, and that sits on my stairs. And I just think La La Land, it's on BBC Two tonight. If you haven't seen it, record it. It's on quite late. Whenever they show it, they tend to show it quite late. You know, record it, watch it. If you've never seen it, if you have seen it, you are just going to want to sit back and enjoy it all over again. The soundtrack, some great songs. My favourite sequence is a sequence called Lovely Night, which has got Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling walking amongst the Hollywood hills. And they filmed it using natural light. They filmed it as the sun was setting over 2 nights in Hollywood. They didn't use any unnatural lighting. They didn't use any blue screen. They didn't use any green screen. They just filmed the 2 of them walking through the hills and then doing a song and dance number. and it is absolutely enticing. It is absolutely glorious. It is absolutely wonderful. My friend Mark Kermode had it as his movie of the week when it came out, so he loves it. My friend Kay, I've got a friend called Kay. Kay helps me run the Facebook page that I mentioned. Kay plays the soundtrack every single day. She loves it that much. But what people don't like, and what my family didn't like, my brother, when he saw it, rang me up and said, "Look, I was enjoying this right to the end. People don't like the ending. I'm not going to spoil it, but a lot of people don't like the ending of La La Land. And the reason for that, without issuing any spoilers at all for those who haven't seen it, is that it doesn't pan out exactly as you think it's going to. That is really intentional. The director said that is absolutely intentional. So the reason my family don't like it is because it doesn't have the ending. I think the ending's perfect. I mean, I think the very, very, very last shot, the last two shots of the film, if you freeze frame them, they are absolutely perfect, perfectly judged, perfectly timed, perfectly acted. And I would encourage you guys at Pure to get the soundtrack album out and to listen to some of the songs and to play songs from movies and play songs from La La Land. It's a joyous, joyous film, folks. It's the one to watch this week. And you can watch it with the family, you can watch it with the kids, you can watch it with Granny. I don't think there's anything in there really that's offensive at all. But honestly, I fell in love with Emma Stone. I fall in love with Emma Stone every time I watch it. She's just beautiful in this film. She's just great. Ryan Gosling is an actor who plays sarcastic characters, and he's a sarcastic best in this, and laid back characters. Unlike Nicolas Cage that we were talking about, who's out there full boom boom boom. Ryan Gosling is very much a laid back actor. So there you go. I'm waxing lyrical about it. When we do 3 in 1 this week, I'm going to be saying La La Land for sure. Just brilliant.
Awesome. Well, lots to watch, both at home and a couple new ones coming out in cinema very soon. So fantastic. Thank you so much, Andy, for bringing us the latest in the world of movies. It's been a pleasure as always. And I hope you have a fantastic weekend.
And you. And I've got some of these events coming up. I hope you guys have a great weekend. And as ever, God bless you and God bless Pure and God bless everybody listening. Thanks, Nathan, so much. And thank you for letting me wax lyrical about La La Land.
No problem. Thanks so much, Andy.